Morning, guys. So today, usually in the morning when I come to the office, I usually do a bit of morning warm-ups. So today I was feeling like wanting to share this process that I do. So let me just set it up. And usually in the morning I just spend maybe half an hour, 45 minutes just emptying my brain, getting started with the day. So it's easy morning warm-up. It doesn't have to be like the best thing you do, but just to get something down and to get started, and then you're warmed up for the day. So landscape is usually for me is a really good way to start because it's just let the brain wander, and then you don't necessarily have a big goal with what you're doing, but it's really it's a good warm, like a way to warm up in the morning. So um, it's also a matter of not starting too hard maybe. So it should just start with something random. It's nice because, I mean, if you start off with something that really cracks your brain, maybe you get really bogged down that you can't perform what you wanted to do. So something fairly simple to start out with is always a good idea, just to build up that confidence. And this is like, I mean, a lot of you guys probably know Feng from the FZD school. He talks about this a lot. And basically he's a super great inspiration for me. So if something sounds familiar to you guys, it's just because I'm a huge fan of his work, and looking forward to see him in Paris in March also. He's gonna have a talk there, so I'm looking forward to meet him in person. So yeah, just starting out with some landscape, just getting something down, getting something out of my head in the morning is a good thing, I think. And I feel, for me personally, I feel that open big landscape for me is a good thing to start with. It's normally quite forgiving, so to make something it's fairly simple. It doesn't need to be something super epic, but just something that you get to get some thoughts down on the paper. Maybe this is a bit bland, so maybe I'll pop something out of the composition in this direction, just to get some sort of, like we're in a fantasy world, and this might be further off in the distance, so I'll just pop it down a bit. Maybe we put a bit of atmosphere here, so it actually pops out. So this would be about it, like just the first composition, just to get something started, just to get something down on paper. And then, yeah, next composition, I'll just get something started again right away without thinking way too much about it. But maybe this time I guess, if we started, maybe this was the horizon, the horizon line on this composition. Maybe I'll try to change the horizon line. So same deal, same landscape kind of painting, but this time I'll maybe change the horizon line a bit, just to get a different feel for it. And right now I'm working in Photoshop. I'm working on a document that is 6,000 pixels wide, and I think around 4,000 pixels high. You can see this, I have 3,500. And I'm working with a custom brush that is like set on, it has opacity turned on, so that if I paint very lightly, it goes like this. If I paint really hard, it looks like this. I find this is really good in the beginning because I'm noodling back and forth quite a lot. And then I have a eraser that is also set with opacity on, so that I can erase lightly over what I'm doing. And just trying to throwing in a building here, just to contrast the natural environment with something man-made. So this is the, even though this is just painting in the morning without giving it way too much thought, I still try to work a bit on the contrast of maybe natural versus man-made, organic versus non-organic, just to try to see if there's any like interest will spring out of that stuff. So usually, like in the back of my head, I usually keep an idea about that I want to make some contrast. And by contrast, it's not necessarily like value is one way to build contrast, black against white. Color is one way as well to build the colors up against each other. But another way to do it is to have contrast of concepts, meaning that you have man-made versus nature, alien versus human, you have underwater versus above water. All this, like, you can play this interest up against each other. So maybe, yeah, we can go, maybe this can be more hard. So it's hard angled versus these soft swooping angles. So in this sense, it builds up contrast. And again, I'm not really sure what this building with the structure does, but it's there and it has some sort of long rail towards in the back. So it does what it does. Yeah. So I guess I'll just not spend way too much more on this. So I'll just go to the third composition, and I guess now I'll try again. I'll change the angle a bit, just so that I don't use the same horizon line, so that it sort of in a way forces me to think new, because now I'm having a downshot, meaning that a downshot is basically, if you look at this composition from the side, meaning that I would have this rock pillar that I'm building, and then the camera is somewhere up here now. So this is a downshot compared to an upshot. Basically, it's just the same concept but reverse. So this could just camera placement. So now I'll just try to place the camera up, see what that brings me. So again, landscape. For me, this is a good fallback position always, because as soon as you start thinking about architectural man-made shapes, you're starting to have to like juggle a much more like perspective correct picture. So here, I mean, I am thinking about that there are some, like there's some third point down here somewhere, but I'm not being super tight about it. And I think with this you can get away with it so far. Like, of course you can start to see it at some point if it's not tight and it's not going to the right place, but it's a bit more forgiving, this setup. So maybe I'll just, before it was quite open, I'm just gonna close off this composition a bit more. So maybe the idea is that this is, I'm starting to swoop in the line. So if you guys, let me just pick a different color. If you see right now, I'm sort of building a stage. So that it means that potentially we could have something coming from into this direction in here. Let's just move this guy a bit further up, and then we have whatever. Whatever is coming at him this way. This guy probably should look a bit more ready. Ready to fight. So again, just sketching, so as long as it conveys the idea, as long as it's not too far off the idea, then I guess we can get away with it. And this is a great way for me, because usually when I work concepts, I have an idea. I know that the first picture is probably not the best one. So the best one might be hidden in number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. I mean, number 100. It's just a matter of keep going and keep at it, because your best idea is probably not the first one. It's most likely not the first one. If it is the first one, you don't know until you have compared to the second or third or fourth idea. So you really don't know what's the best idea until you tried a lot of different versions. So my recommendation is always go for try again, try again, try again, try again, try again, and then one more time. The last job that I've been handling, I did a little more than 100 pictures in 10 days to explore environments. And the client was quite happy because that gave them a lot of opportunities to look at where this project is going and how does this look and what is it that we want to do, because it was quite blue sky at that point. There was a lot of things done previously, but they didn't have that much structure on the world itself. So for them it was really good to have just something to define the world. You can actually see what I'm doing on my second screen. I have Pinterest up. Pinterest I think is really, really great because it just gives me some really good random images that I can just sample from. So for example, right now I think this actually might be quite good. So this just, I'll throw that back on my secondary monitor. And it actually ties good into that. What I did here was very open composition, broad strokes, big landscape, a lot of sky. Camera a bit further up, more landscape, less sky. The camera again further up, less sky, more canyon, more like down towards a compressed area. So it's actually, this seems a little bit more like maybe it would be like a camera flying through this environment. Then you come to this area. Like behind this area right here, there is this creature. And then this guy is maybe fleeing and he finds maybe an entrance here in this building. So let's try to make the last shot. So flip the camera. Let's see what we can do with that. Sorry guys, it's early in the morning. I'm drinking my tea just to get warmed up. Sorry about that. So let's see what we can. So maybe this is like the old entrance to something. So if I want to tie this together, I'm thinking this is not ancient. It's not like Mayan technology. It's not old stuff, but it is some sort of maybe old alien tech, sci-fi, maybe. I'm not really sure what kind of vibe I get. Maybe you can just comment what kind of vibe you get from this, because I get some sort of like half sleek, brutalistic vibe. So if you have any ideas, you can just write it in the comments and I'll look at it and maybe I can use that as a theme for a next talk at some point. And I hope, by the way, this is my first attempt to record what I'm thinking, because I've been doing some paintings in the morning where I've been trying to stream it. But that's basically been without sound, so I've never tried to speak at the same time, which is a bit unfamiliar to me. So if you guys like this, if you think it's helpful in any way, I would love to know if it's any good, because otherwise I'll just be in a blank, just firing away, hoping that somebody will pick it up and say, oh, this is helpful. So, but I'm just really happy to share my thoughts. I've been teaching quite a lot, so I think this is a good way to share what I know, because I think what I know is that there's no secrets to it. It's just work. So, and I know work can be frustrating. So the more help you can getting a little bit faster into the process and into the right mindset, it's a good idea. So I would love to help you guys as much as I can. So that's why I'm trying to do these morning warm-ups, and I'm trying to share them, because I mean, instead of me just sitting in my void doing it, I would think it would be more helpful to share it. So that's about that. So let's see where this is going. Sorry, I get a little bit concentrated here. Just trying to figure out what I'm doing. And it's not super tight on grid. It's not super tight on perspective. It's just, again, to get the idea down. Just a disclaimer here, I'm actually working a bit of a Dutch angle, meaning that the camera is tilted. So maybe it should be more like this. But I think just to show something with a scale and showing a bit of an upshot, it helps to tilt the camera just a bit. And it gives this little uncomfortable presence, so maybe we can work some more spikes into it. I try to work with this. I've tried to work with this and this. So diagonals to give this little bit of an uncomfortable feeling. And maybe I could work with this, but it's a bit too cliche. And again, if the gate was like this, it might be a little bit too evil looking. So I guess I'll just keep it square, because it's more like this pointy design is very frightening and evil looking, and I guess you can get away with it, but it needs to also have a function. So if, for example, a gate like this would have teeth like this, I would really love to see a function. You can put in this, and then I guess that will look a little bit more like teeth. So let's try to just put this in, because this I see as a function and not as a design without function. Because that's something I've always been very much against, is design without function. Design for the sake of design, but not design for the sake of showing some sort of functionality. It's just free floating, and this doesn't give any sense, or doesn't make any sense. So if you make a gate that just has teeth for the sake of teeth, why does it have teeth? It's just to look cool, just to look frightening. So for this example, I would say it makes much more sense to have these kind of teeth, because they would fit in some sort of rail at the bottom where there's these dentations, and it would just give the door more strength in if you push it this direction, so it would be more resistant. That's probably something I'm going to repeat quite a lot if I continue doing more of these videos, is that I really enjoy design that follows some sort of form, and without reference, I think I can reference the source. It's Mies van der Rohe, who said that form follows function. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is a really good point, because especially the more mechanical you go, with the more industrial design you go, it usually follows function. Design is like a second priority a lot of times. So with these kind of things, you would have more like, it's just the form that, the function that dictates the form. Yeah, enough of that. So this would be my 4 warm-ups. And let's see what time it is. I think we have time. So if you guys are interested, I will just continue a bit more. So I'll just throw in some colors now. So I'll try to just quickly throw something in. And let's just see what we can deduct from this. And I'll just, in the beginning here, I'm just like go with really broad strokes. It's basically just getting away with something, almost getting away with murder. So I would start to maybe, this green color scape I quite like, but actually maybe I did it the wrong way around, because maybe I should investigate where we are. Because if I said in the beginning that this would be tying together all of the images, maybe I should investigate where we are in the beginning, meaning that this might be a good idea. So let me just try to get something here. Again, Pinterest, I really enjoy that, because that's a really great way to sample a lot of ideas, and it means it's not necessarily just stealing ideas, it's just getting something out of in the, because what I usually do is I go in, copy, paste, and I say, oh, I really like this part here, so I would go in and say this is maybe great for this part down here. I really enjoy the color scheme here because it has this brown tones, and I can get maybe some of the sky color in here. So right now we don't have that much on the background, so I would, I would maybe go in and do like this. And let's just see, because I think actually we can divide it up. This might be just the second part. And let's see what this brings me. So I'll just go in and sample. This is just color blending modes that I'm shuffling through. So it just gives me something to play with. So it's an easy way to just shuffle through and see, does it ring a bell at any point? This is quite nice. So I would go in and just take this. I really think that this could work with some of the background. So I would just start to grab some of this in and maybe blend a bit of this in now. Oops. Just paint some of this out. We have some white clouds. So we have some far distance here. As I said, we have some clouds that sort of covers this area here. So this mountain is like ginormous in the background and starting to get covered up a bit. This is a bit further, closer towards the camera. So I would start to give it some of these ground tones. Maybe I can just paint a bit with these tones at the end. We just lasso it out. It's a bit easier to work with when you lassoed things out. It becomes, you can just more focus on the painting. And maybe we just throw in some light here. I think that would work. So we have maybe these small streaks of light hitting this area. And then this goes more towards a darker, colder tone up here as we get further away. And this, for me, this is enough to establish if this is a good path to take with lighting and values and color schemes. Is this a good path to go down? So I think for the sake of just thumbnailing it, I would leave it maybe here and just say that's it and it's good enough for now. And it gives me a good starting point. Also because if you're working with an art director, you can always take something like this, a bit more detailed, of course. This is just, as I said, a morning warm-up. But something like this, where you show the intent and you show the idea of what you want to do and what you want to pursue for the rest of the day. And you say, this is good enough for now. You can show the idea. It showcases what you want to do. And you say, is this the right direction for now? So the interesting part would either, so I guess it would be interesting to either keep them all the same, or maybe I should just spin them all in a different direction just to try some different things. So again, I'll just, try to find what I'm doing here. ArtStation, ArtStation, Pinterest. I'll just get inspired what I get here. I'll just look briefly at what maybe I can use and what's inspiring me. So this is cool. something I can use, I guess. I'll just flip it. So let's see, I'll use this part probably up here, so I'll just put this away for now. And I think it's more of a matter of that the colors are quite nice, so I'll just paint this in here. And this is really nice for the distance, I think. So let me just get this in here. And this is nice for down here. So I'll just paint this in here. And right now it's like painting with a shovel. I mean, it's not, there's no details, and I would sometimes even zoom out until here, because it's just a matter of getting something down that reads in an instance. It should read really fast what you're doing. So you should not be focusing on details at all at this point. So it's just a matter of getting something down that has contrast, that has interest, that springs some sort of emotions and sparks an imagination and easily readable. So let's see where this is heading. It doesn't read that well, so I'll just cut this out a bit more. So what I do here is I just take the behind this structure, I just lighten it up a bit, just to pop this thing out. So right now there's contrast work, so I'm taking the values a bit up. I'm just trying to implement this here. So let's see if this, maybe we should have some more gray to this cloud. And just add some of these mountains back here as well, and then the further we get to the camera, the more lush green we can start to pump into this. And this is just going back. And this goes down here. So I'll just paint this landscape down here. And I guess we'll make this structure a bit more dark. So it's this man-made, so it could be this dark structure within this beautiful landscape. There's some really nice landscape with Icelandic rock volcano landscape, and it has this beautiful contrast because it has this very green, lush environment against this very, very dark volcanic. So it is a really, really great way to serve contrast. I don't think I can find them here. So, but you can go on Pinterest and look up Iceland. You'll probably find something there. It's a really great way to serve contrast. And I think for now this is, again, without spending way too much time on something. It's not that half an hour is a lot of time, but as a warm-up sketch I would prefer to just get on with what I'm doing. So let me just check it out. This was this one, this one. So right now it seems like I'm going actually the same direction. So let me just take this one down here. Different approach. So I'll start to sample maybe from what I have already. So we have this mushy kind of rock formations. They are not desert. We're not in a desert environment. We are more in a like moist environment. So I was thinking maybe this is a coast, either coastal area or somewhere where humidity is being forced up. So let me just try this one. So here I would guess that we can have some sort of cold light coming in here that lights up this area and lights up this guy. And then we have this serpent of some sort, centipede coming in this here, in this direction. Maybe contrast him a bit more. And we have the light light here, but it should be more cold, I guess. So I'll just turn it a bit more towards the cold part of the spectrum. And put some cold light on this as well, because it all streams up from this ground. And put some here as well. And I guess this guy has some sort of finish on him that makes it shine a bit more. And right now this lighting scenario doesn't make that much sense to have a really cold light coming in here, but for this shot it would be quite nice to have this very strong light coming in here from this angle to sort of, again, if I just make a new layer. So what I want with this scene in particular is just to have this pressing feeling towards this guy, and then to emphasize this feeling of trappedness. So basically maybe it's a low sun that you would have to that set this kind of light, but to make it feel more pressing, I would put in a cold light, so it feels a bit more like it's cold and pressing towards him. And I will just quickly finish up the last one now, because I can feel that people are starting to enter the studio, so I don't want to be sitting here blabbing when people come running in the door. So I'll just throw some darkness up here. Put maybe some of this structure here. And then we had this door here that I want to paint out black. Or not black, of course, but really dark. And then this gate environment. And this is like, if we say this is the same building, it should probably be more black than it is. But since we're so close to the ground, I would say that we could try to build on the idea that it's very mushy. It's like it's been in contact with the environment for quite a lot of time, so it would start to get this humidity and moss growth from the environment. And I would probably paint a bit of cold color here. And I guess I should also emphasize the coldness up here, and a bit of a accent up here. The reason why I would use cold color for this is like, this is not, I mean, it's not super omniscient and evil looking structure, but it's probably not very pleasant to walk in this old gate. So I would just try to play it up with some cold colors, just to give this feeling of on guardness, and be like this is something adventurous, dangerous about to happen. And just throw in a bit of like last light that leads towards this building. And maybe just hint that there's a bit of light coming from up here. So basically this is it. This is how I would structure a morning warm-up. This is how I would get my brain working, both practical exercise, but at the same time also tying a little bit of a story into it. So I hope this has been okay to watch. This is again a first attempt, so if this is a good way to do it, please let me know. If there's things that you would like to get explained further, please let me know as well. So please comment, and I would love to hear what you guys think. So thanks a lot, and have a really great day.